Okay, hi guys. So today is basically the first video for the chapter vectors. So SOT में मैंने अराउंड 7 वीडियोस अपलोड किए सॉल्यूशन ऑफ ट्रायंगल, और उसमें ही चैप्टर ख़त्म हो गया. तो अभी हम न्यू टॉपिक स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं विच इज़ वेक्टर्स. तो ये फर्स्ट वीडियो है, तो विल स्टार्ट विद वेक्टर्स टुडे. तो वेक्टर्स में अगर हम इंट्रोडक्शन लें या बेसिक से अगर हम स्टार्ट करें, तो वेक्टर्स में हमारे पास सबसे पहले हमें एक 3 डायमेंशनल सिस्टम को के बारे में स्टडी करना पड़ेगा. ठीक है, 3 डायमेंशनल सिस्टम का मतलब ये रहता है कि उसमें हम 3 एक्सेस रहती हैं विच आर म्यूचुअली परपेंडिकुलर. देयर आर 3 एक्सेस. दिस इज द एक्स एक्सिस, this is the y axis, and this is the z axis. And if we take any two axes, they are mutually perpendicular to each other. Okay, so if I want to express point P using these 3 axes, which means if I want to write the coordinates of point P, so suppose the coordinates of point P are x comma y comma z. So basically what this denotes, so if the coordinates of any point P are x comma y comma z, this means that in order to reach this point from origin, we need to move distance x along the x axis. Okay, which means this distance will be x, and then we need to move distance y along the y axis, and this distance corresponding to this will be z. Okay, so if I say along the z axis I have to move, then I have to move a distance z. So the coordinates are x comma y comma z, which means in order to reach this point P from origin, I need to move distance x along the x axis. Okay, then I need to move distance y along the y axis, and then I need to move distance z along the z axis. If these 3 distances are traversed along the 3 respective axes, which means x axis, y axis and z axis, then I am able to reach this point. Okay, and if I want to find the length, okay, so the length of this point P, which means the length of point P from the origin, the length of point P from the origin will be given by this formula, root of x square plus y square plus z square. Okay, if I want to find the distance of P from the origin, then that length will be given by this formula, root of x square plus y square plus z square. Okay, so let's proceed ahead. So in the next topic, I'll teach you how to calculate the distance between 2 points, okay, using 3-dimensional system. Okay, so suppose I have 2 points. One point is P and its coordinates are x1 comma y1 comma z1, and the other point is Q and its coordinates are x2 comma y2 comma z2. Okay, these 3 points are given to you. One point is x1 comma y1 comma z1, and the other point is Q, x2 comma y2 comma z2 basically. Okay, so in the 3 coordinate system, this is like this. Okay, x axis, y axis and z axis. Okay, so if I want to find the distance between these 2 points P and Q, so what I have to do is I have to see what distance we need to cover along the x axis. So if we see their gap along the x axis, so this point will be along the x axis, this will be x1 and this will be x2, which means the gap will be x1 minus x2. Okay, similarly if I want to see the gap, let me extend this axis. So if I extend this axis, this will become y axis. Now if I want to see the gap along the y axis, this point is y2 and this point is y1, which means this distance will be y1 minus y2. Okay, this distance will be y1 minus y2, And similarly, if we see the gap along the z axis, that gap will be z2 minus z1 or z1 minus z2. So we can write the distance for PQ using distance formula, root of x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square plus z2 minus z1 square. This formula is called the distance formula. Okay, this formula is called the distance formula and is used to calculate distance between 2 points. Okay, root of x2 minus x1 square, root of x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square plus z2 minus z1 square. Okay, if we have only two axes, only x axis and y axis, then we will not have this term which contains the coordinates of z. Okay, then we will stop here. We will apply this formula, root of x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square. But if we have three axes, x axis, y axis and z axis, then we will also take the difference of the z coordinates. Okay, so root of x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square plus z2 minus z1 square, and then complete square root. This gives us the distance between 2 points whose x, y and z coordinates are given to us. Okay, so this is called as distance formula. Now next topic is section formula. If suppose we are interested in like finding the coordinates of a point which is dividing 2 points in a given ratio. Okay, so suppose these 2 points we have, this is P, this is Q. The coordinates of P are x1 comma x1 y1 z1, and the coordinates of Q are x2 comma y2 comma z2. Okay, coordinates of P are x1 comma y1 comma z1, and coordinates of Q are x2 comma y2 comma z2. Now suppose there is a point, suppose n. Okay, its coordinates are x comma y comma z. I'm taking it to be a variable point. So suppose the coordinates are x comma y comma z, and we know this ratio. We know the ratio is m is to n. Qn is to Pn is m is to n. So how do you calculate the coordinates of point n in terms of P and Q? Okay, so for that what we have to do, basically this is given to you as m is to n. M is to n. So what we will do here is, suppose this is the z axis. So what we will do here, we will just like let this point is Q and this point is R. Okay, let this point is Q and this point is R. Right. Now we have this ratio Qn upon Pn. This ratio is given to you as m by n. Qn upon Pn. This point is P. This point is P. So Qn upon Pn. This ratio is already given to you as m by n. Now these two triangles are similar because we can say this angle is equal to this angle is 90, this angle is also 90, and this angle is equal to this angle. So these two triangles are similar. So Qn by Pn, same ratio will exist for Rn and PQ. Sorry, RQ and PQ. Right? Qn by Pn, same, because these triangles are similar, so we can say that Qn by Pn, this ratio will exist for RQ and PQ also, RQ divided by PQ. Okay, so now if you extend this, and suppose this point is L, and you extend this, suppose this point is M, so RQ we can write as RL minus QL. RQ we can write as RL minus QL, and PQ we can write as PM minus QM. Okay, RQ we can write as RL minus QL, and PQ we can write as PM minus QL. So RL means you take this is the z axis. Basically right now I am just finding the ratio for the z coordinate. Similarly we can say for the x and y coordinate also. So if I want to write the z coordinate for R, the z coordinate of R will be same as the z coordinate for n, because both of them are on the same level if we see the z axis. both r and n will be on the same level. So coordinate z coordinate of n is z. Therefore z coordinate of r will also be z. So z minus ql. So ql means you take the z coordinate of q, which is z2. So z minus z2 divided by pm minus qm. So pm minus qm. Pm means you take the z coordinate for p. So that is z1 and minus z coordinate of q. Now z coordinate of q will be same as z coordinate of n because they are at the same level. So z1 minus z. Okay. So we get the relation m by n. We get the relation m by n is equal to z2 z minus z2 divided by z1 minus z. Okay. So if we cross multiply here, we can write z. If we cross multiply here, we can write z as m into z1 plus n into z2 divided by m plus n. Okay. So on cross multiplication, we can write z as m into z1 plus n into z2 divided by m plus n. Okay. So this formula is called as section formula. This formula is called as section formula. Similarly, we can write for x and y coordinates. So if I want to write the x coordinate for n, x coordinate for n can be written as m into x1 plus n into x2 divided by m plus n. And similarly, y coordinate for n can be written as m into y1 plus n into y2 divided by m plus n. Okay, so this formula is called as section formula, and whenever I want to find we want to find the coordinates of a point which is dividing the line segment joining 2 points in a particular ratio, so we can utilize that ratio and means apply the section formula. If suppose the point does not lie in between, which means it is either lying outside of P or outside of Q, which means not in between, then that division is called as external division. In that case, in place of plus you will have minus signs. Okay, so in that case you will have mz1 minus nz2 upon m minus n, and similarly for x and y coordinates. Okay, and this ratio when the point is dividing internally, which means the point of division lies between the 2 points, then that ratio is called as internal division. Okay, that ratio is called as internal division. Okay, so this was all about section formula. Now basically we come to the basic concept of vectors. What is a vector? So vector basically is any quantity which has magnitude and direction. Okay, if suppose this is say 5 units and it is acting in this direction, then that we can say is a vector. Okay, any quantity which has with magnitude and direction. Okay, any quantity with magnitude and direction. Okay, that is called as a vector. Okay, and now what do you understand by direction cosines? Direction cosines, this is also an important concept. Direction cosines basically is like if we have a particular vector, okay, and this is x-axis, this is y-axis, and this is z-axis. Suppose it is making this vector, suppose this vector is v. Okay, now this vector is making angle alpha with the x-axis, beta with the y-axis, and gamma with the z-axis. So we basically what we do, we take the cosine or cos of all the angles which is taking with the respective axis. Okay, so it is making angle alpha with the x-axis, so we are taking cos alpha. The vector is making beta with the y-axis, so we take cos beta, and the vector is making angle gamma with the z-axis, so we take cos gamma. Cos alpha is L, cos beta is M, and cos gamma is N. Okay, so L, M, N are called as the direction cosines of a particular line. Okay, basically it is defined for a line. So basically this concept we will study again in 3-dimensional geometry, which will be the next chapter for vectors. Okay, but just to be more clear, so I thought that I'll explain here only. So for any line which is making angles alpha, beta, and gamma with the corresponding axis, with the x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. So if you take cos alpha, cos beta, cos gamma, then those values are called the direction cosines of that line, and sum of the squares of direction cosines is always equal to 1. Okay, so L square plus M square plus N square will always be equal to 1. Okay, so this was all about direction cosines. Then representation, in any representation we basically use a letter for a vector, and then either we put an arrow above it, or we can say we just put a line like this. So in this way we can represent or denote any vector. If we just write the letter, and on the top of that either we put an arrow or we just put a line, then that is a symbol or that is a notation for a vector. Okay, and for vector both the things are important. It should have a particular magnitude and it should have a direction. If any one thing is missing, then we cannot define it as a vector. Okay, then how many types of vectors exist, or what are the different types of vectors? So basically different types of vectors. So first different types of vectors. Co-initial vectors. Okay, what are co-initial vectors? Okay, so as the name suggests, those vectors which have the same initial point or same starting point. Okay, so suppose this point is A. Now this particular vector is starting from this point and going in this direction, because I have made the arrow in this way, so basically it is going towards this direction. Okay, and it is starting from here, and this vector is starting from this point but going in this direction, because this arrow I have made towards the right side, so this vector is going towards the right side. So the only common thing these two vectors have is they have the same or they have the common starting point. Okay, they have the same or they have the common starting point. That is why they are called as co-initial vectors. Okay, now type 2 or category number 2, parallel vectors. Okay, so there are two possibilities here. If I draw the vectors like this, or if I draw the vectors like this, both vectors are parallel to each other. Okay, these two vectors are also parallel to each other because they are pointing in the same direction. These two vectors are also parallel to each other because, means in this case they are pointing in opposite direction, but still they are not intersecting. Okay, so if two vectors are not intersecting in any position or any way, then they are called as parallel vectors. But they can be like defined in two ways, and this way when both of them have the same direction, then they are called as like vectors, and if they are acting in opposite directions, then they are called as unlike vectors. Okay, so vectors acting in exactly opposite directions to each other are called as unlike vectors, and vectors acting in exactly the same direction are called as like vectors. Okay, so this was one point. Then collinear vectors we can say like they are for parallel vectors we can say they are collinear vectors only. Okay, if suppose we have a diagram like this, when two vectors they are pointing in the same direction, or I can say like this, they are pointing in the same direction one after each other, or like this, in that case they are also called as collinear vectors. So in other words, collinear vectors is an alternative name for parallel vectors. Either you say parallel vectors or you say collinear vectors, it means one and the same thing. Okay, so collinear vectors. For collinear vectors, if suppose we have a vector A and we have a vector B, then I can write like this: vector A is lambda times vector B. Means it becomes a scalar, one vector becomes a scalar multiple for the other vector. Okay, because already they are pointing in the same direction, so the only difference will be in their magnitude, right? So if suppose this magnitude is the magnitude of this vector is 1, the magnitude of this vector is 2, so lambda will be equal to 2, basically to adjust their magnitude, right? To make their magnitude equal in order to equate them, but their direction will be same. by default. Okay, so this type of vectors are called as collinear vectors. Collinear vectors. Then co-initial I already told you. Like and like, that came in parallel vectors only. Collinear vectors, coplanar. Okay, coplanar vectors. Coplanar vectors. Okay, this also, as the name suggests, coplanar means same plane. Coplanar means same plane. So this is a plane, like, okay, this is a plane, or any horizontal means the space is called a plane. So if suppose two vectors are are having the same plane, okay, so this vector and this vector, they are both lying in the plane of the board, right? They are both lying in the plane of the board. So in that case, if this is a vector A and this is a vector B, then I will state this as these two vectors are coplanar vectors. Okay, suppose I have a vector this and I have a vector like this pointing in the direction of the marker. Okay, so in this case, this vector, although these two vectors are co-initial because marker is also starting from the same point as this vector, but they are not coplanar, means they are not lying in the plane of the board. Okay, so in this way we can say that these two vectors are coplanar. Any two vectors or any any vectors which are lying in the same plane, whether it is the plane of the board or like on this bed we are saying, or any same plane we are saying. Okay, in whenever there some vectors are lying in the same plane, then those vectors are called as coplanar vectors. Okay, so this was about the like different types of vectors that we are going to study in the like coming session. So we must be aware about the different terminologies, and if these like concepts are used in questions, then you must be aware about that. Okay, then one more thing is important, that is position vector, that we will be covering in detail. Position vector, basically for any point the vector which is starting from origin, and like for any point in space, if you suppose this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis, and this is the z-axis, for any point P, if I want to find the position vector of P, so what I will do, I will join the origin O to that point and make a vector out of it. So that vector will become the position vector for P. Okay, so if I want to write P vector or position vector of P, then that will be OP vector, right? For any point P, the position vector of that point is the vector formed by joining origin to that point and pointing in the direction of that point. Okay, so I'll repeat this because this is important. Okay, for any point P or for any random point in space, the position vector is defined by the vector formed by joining origin to that point. Okay, the vector formed by joining origin to that point and pointing in the direction of that point. Okay, so suppose if there is another point, say this point is Q, and I want to find the position vector for Q. So what I will do is I will join origin O to this point and put arrow towards Q. Okay, the position vector always points towards the point. Always remember, the position vector always points towards the point. Okay, so the position vector of Q will be given by this vector, OQ vector. Position vector of Q will be given by OQ vector. Okay, so this is called as position vector for any point. Okay, so we will be discussing we'll be taking position vector in questions also. So you have to always infer that whenever I say position vector of any point, so position vector of any point means the vector formed by joining the origin to that point, okay, and pointing in the direction of the point. Okay, so I think these concepts were enough for the first lecture. This was basically an introductory lecture for vectors topic. Okay, so I'll just advise you to go through these topics, and then we'll be taking questions based on this tomorrow in my first Zoom lecture for vectors. Okay, and I'll shortly upload the second video, which will be consisting of like addition and parallelogram law of addition and things related to that. Okay, so thanks for now.